You're probably sitting there scrolling through a dozen gaming laptops, wondering if you'll end up throwing $4,000 at a machine that looks great on paper but turns out to be a disappointment in the real world. I get it, you've seen the hype, the glossy marketing videos, and the specs that sound like they belong in a sci-fi movie, but you also know how easy it is to waste money on something that doesn't fit your playstyle, your desk space, or even your budget. The big question is, does this beast actually deliver the kind of experience you need, or is it just another high-priced showcase? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started digging into the ASUS ROG Strix G18, I focused on the things that matter after the box is opened: how it handles a marathon gaming session, whether the screen really lives up to the premium label when you're hunting headshots at 1440p, and how the laptop fits into a daily routine that also includes streaming, schoolwork, or a side hustle in video editing. The headline numbers: an RTX 5080 GPU, an Ultra 9275HX processor that can boost past 5 GHz, 64 GB of DDR5 RAM, and a massive 2 TB SSD are impressive, but the practical impact is what decides if this is the right purchase for you. First off, the display. ASUS markets the 18-inch 2.5K panel as a premium ROG Nebula with a buttery 240Hz refresh rate. In my own testing with fast-paced shooters like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 and Apex Legends, that high refresh rate translates to noticeably smoother motion and less perceived blur when you're constantly turning and aiming. The 2.5K resolution gives you that extra pixel density that makes textures feel richer compared to a standard 1080p laptop, which is a real advantage when you're also using the screen for content creation or just watching movies. The colors are vivid enough for HDR content, though you'll notice the brightness caps out around 350 nits, so in a sunlit room you'll still need to tilt the lid or dim the ambient light to keep the image clear. The RTX 5080 is the newest GPU in the mobile lineup, and it handles today's top titles at high settings without breaking a sweat. I ran Cyberpunk 2077 on Ultra with ray tracing on, and the frame rates hovered comfortably in the 8090 frames per second range at native 2.5K. That's a level of performance most laptops in this price tier can't touch. What's more, the advanced Optimus technology switches seamlessly between the integrated graphics and the RTX 5080, conserving battery when you're just browsing or streaming. In real-world terms, that means you can still get a few hours of non-gaming use without the charger plugged in, which is a nice surprise for a machine that feels like a desktop replacement. Cooling is where the Strix G18 tries to justify its size. ASUS's ROG Intelligent Cooling uses a combination of larger heat pipes, dual fans, and a vapor chamber that spreads heat across the chassis. During a 2-hour session of Elden Ring at max settings, the CPU temperature settled in the low 80s C and the GPU in the mid 70s, which is respectable for a laptop of this power. The fans do spin up noticeably, and you'll hear a low hum that can become audible in a quiet room, but the sound never turned into an annoying whine. If you're planning to game in a shared space or a small apartment, you might want to keep a headphone on to mask the fan noise. Now, let's talk about the practical side of having 64 GB of DDR5 RAM and a 2 TB SSD. For most gamers, 1,632 GB is more than enough, but the extra memory becomes useful if you're also editing 4K footage, running virtual machines, or streaming while you play. I set up OBS to capture my gameplay at 1080p, switched to a virtual desktop for work, and the system never hiccuped. The SSD's fast read speeds approach 7 GB/s, so game load times are almost instantaneous, and large game installs, like Starfield, finish in under 10 minutes. That kind of storage capacity means you can keep a sizable library of AAA titles without constantly juggling what's installed. Who should buy this? If you're a serious competitive gamer who wants the highest frame rates on a large, high-resolution screen, the Strix G18 checks almost every box. It also makes sense for creators who need a portable workstation that can handle GPU-accelerated rendering and multitasking without pulling the plug on gaming. The laptop's size, an 18-inch chassis weighing close to 7 pounds, means it's not the most travel-friendly device, so if you need something you can toss into a backpack for daily commuting, you might look at a 15-inch model instead. Similarly, if you're primarily interested in casual gaming or indie titles and you're on a tighter budget, the premium price of this machine could feel unjustified. On the flip side, there are a few trade-offs that can catch buyers off guard. The sheer power of the RTX 5080 and Ultra 9 chip draws a lot of electricity, so the laptop's battery life under gaming loads is roughly 2 to 3.